to welcome our final speaker for the morning session, Mr. Abhishek Bhattacharya. Mr. Abhishek Bhattacharya is a co-founder at World and was a product owner for PolicyBazaar.com's service product. Thrice an entrepreneur and twice an author, he has been in blockchain for about 3 years commercially and academically prior to that. At World, he is building India's first agri-lending blockchain that can save 25 to 40% of farmers' income and protect banks from millions in frauds. He has been an advisor to several startups such as esports.com, which who has raised 5.8 million EUR in their ICO, Vela Blockchain Advisory Council, NavCoinET.L. His second book, Secure Chains, Cybersecurity and Blockchain-Powered Automation, has been published by BPB Publications, Asia's largest publisher for IT books. He is a regular speaker in blockchain and mostly gives two-day workshop in universities to students in second, third, or fourth year in an attempt to show them a path to choose a career in blockchain when there's still time. Apart, apart from taking lectures in blockchain for faculty and students, including a global audience with audience, he also advised certificate blockchain course by IITM Council present across 145 countries. Lastly, he was nominated for the Top 50 Tech Leaders Award by Intercon Dubai. He had been invited as a speaker at one of Europe's biggest blockchain conferences, Decentralized 2019 in Athens, Greece, as a speaker at the Blockchain World Forum in Shenzhen, China, and as a panelist speaker with a nomination for Best Crypto Educator in Gurus Award by Next Block Asia 2.0 in Bangkok, Thailand last year, and as a panelist at Government of India's program for startups at IIM Kashipur. Now, I would like to request our Professor Dr. Sudhir Kumar Sharma, HOD Computer Science, to come forward and say a few words.
I extend a hearty welcome to Mr. Abhishek Bhattacharya. He is the author of three books. He has published more than 10 research papers on blockchain technology. He conducted many FDP successfully in the last 2 years. Let us again welcome Mr. Abhishek Bhattacharya to enlighten us with his knowledge on blockchain. I World Bank to fourth industrial revolution.
Thank you so much, sir. Am I audible? Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. You seem audible.
Okay, I think something has come. Yes. So I'm just presenting this. Can you see my presentation as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's the sound is coming late. All right. So okay, just let me know if you face any network connections, and I'll pause. And thank you so much, Professor Dr. Sudhir sir, for having me here. It is an honor to be presenting to the kind of audience that you have shared here. And so I will be speaking on blockchain, and particularly we would be taking a look at the topic, as the topic says, is why is World Bank calling an organization like World Bank calling blockchain as a pillar of the fourth industrial revolution? And as you can imagine, you can understand that it is a big thing, because I've read that World Bank has actually compared blockchain with the discoveries and inventions like the steam engine decades back and internet. And we all know that discoveries and inventions like the steam engine and the internet have really changed our lives, and significantly. And we never knew decades back, when maybe Vinton Cerf was working on that DARPA net, that someday, maybe a few tens of years later, rather than internet being a part of our lives, it would feel like our lives are more a part of the internet, right? So that is where I believe that blockchain lies at the moment, and possibly that is where I think organizations like World Bank believe so as well. And maybe that is why this stark claim that it could be an immensely important pillar of what we call is the fourth industrial revolution that we are about to witness. So going ahead, so can you just once confirm that whether this slide changed for you? I mean, if everything, the video and the slide are working for you, for the audience? Can any of you confirm? Can you confirm? Am I audible? Hello? Sudhir sir, can you please confirm whether I am audible and the screen is visible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Just needed a confirmation. All right, so we'll be taking a look at that. 1 hour is really very less to justify any kind of in-depth research or study or understanding of the blockchain network, but we will try to cover absolutely as much as possible. And what we will focus on in this 1 hour till 1 p.m. is how can we understand few critical pointers, right? So some of them are, for example, we would try to understand what is blockchain technology? What is this piece of technology? One question we would try to answer is why was the world in need of a technology like blockchain that brings in a lot of decentralization to the everyday systems that we are seeing in any case? And also, what should be our plan going ahead? And we'll discuss all of these, keeping in mind the basic concepts of blockchain technology follows, as well as we will try to take a look at a lot of applications, whatever is possible in this time frame, and try to understand from these real world practical implementations that where have those companies or those people implemented blockchain, and what should be the right way of implementing or deploying blockchain, and what should we avoid, and what are the myths, and what are all those things that we avoid while implementing blockchain, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right, so just a quick introduction about myself. So I'm, and I think Sir and both of them did a very good justice to saying a lot about me. So just an overview, I've been into blockchains in the last 3 to 4 years, and I've been an entrepreneur in blockchain. I've written in blockchain, published books, and since quite some time now. I've held faculty development programs where I've been educating people, and I've received audience from across the US, France, Germany, and in numbers of 740 plus. And 90% of them or more of them have been faculties and PhDs themselves. One critical thing that I have faced, even while teaching, lecturing any class of people, any class of audience, is the difference between how they compare the current technologies that they know, like the age-old database systems, be it SQL or NoSQL, or the networks, or any kind of legacy systems, and how they compare those technologies with this completely new form of technology like blockchain. And the basic concepts, to be very honest, a blockchain is very different. That is where I've seen that audience. That is where I would request, please, everyone, if you can please mute your microphones, it would be really, really. So that is where I witnessed that the main problem has been. I'm feeling a lot of disturbances. Sudhir sir, can you please request everyone to switch off their microphones? Because microphones are not. All right, I think it should be solved. Thanks a lot. So yeah, so I believe that I've had the experience, and I think I should be able to share some of those insights with you and be able to specifically point out where people might go wrong when we are learning blockchain, right? And so today's bird's eye view, very quickly. First of all, what many think that blockchain is, and since the last some people have caught an eye on blockchain maybe 7-8 years back, some did 3-4 years back like myself, and someone is yet to come into the field of the world of blockchain. But mostly I've witnessed that people have started knowing about blockchain from Bitcoin, right, and other cryptocurrencies, and the hype that they've seen in news channels and everywhere, where a lot of scams have occurred, and speculation has led to the cryptocurrency price rising by like substantially. and all the wrong reasons for because of which blockchain has been popular. And since then, people I've seen are not able to differentiate between blockchain and an implementation like cryptocurrency. And that is where the problem lies, because those are not one and the same things. I mean, it's a cryptocurrency is an implementation of blockchain, and a lot of people believe that that is where blockchain came into existence from. That's partially incorrect. I would like to tell you why. Because back in 2008, when Satoshi Nakamoto, by now I believe you must have definitely heard the name. He's the creator of the Bitcoin cryptocurrency. When in 2008 he wrote his paper on Bitcoin, Bitcoin eventually went on to become one of the most practical and massive implementations of blockchain, which reached the public, right? But even maybe a decade back, in during 91 to 97, people like Dr. Scott Stornetta and others who've been called the founding fathers of blockchain, actually, they wrote papers about digital time stamping and all of those associated technologies, which were referred by Satoshi Nakamoto in his Bitcoin white paper. So it clearly, blockchain is not a very new technology, but massive implementation has been lately. And so blockchain as a technology has been around for 11 years or so in the form of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and then going forward in other kinds of applications and use cases. So I would say that honestly, it is a very low amount of time when we compare it with any legacy system like Java. So for example, today you talk about Java, and it has been there for decades and decades, right? So it has got immense time to mature. And people know what needs to be built in Java, how you need to build stuff in Java, what implications it might have, and all of those things, A to Z of Java, is available for everyone to see. But in blockchain, in the case of blockchain, a decade or so is very less when we are talking about maturity gaining by technology, right? So blockchain is a technology, is a field where every other day you open LinkedIn, you open other news sources, and you'll see that something or the other is happening, and it is moving. The research, the development, the deployments are moving at a breakneck speed. And that is why blockchain is becoming all the more important, because you currently don't know what tomorrow. You might get up in the morning and see that blockchain can do, and it might be a solution to one of your everyday problems, right? I mean, and it is very possible that even your problems which blockchain cannot solve right now, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other public blockchain, permission blockchain, private blockchain, any of those cannot solve right now, it might be solved tomorrow, right? So maybe that is why the hype, and that is why the speculation, and that is why the anxiety in people in blockchain world, that what is going to come tomorrow, and we should stick with the fleet, right? So what blockchain actually is, so once you've known that it has been popular because of all the wrong reasons, blockchain is just a revolutionary piece of decentralized technology. What is decentralized technology? We'll look in a bit in a minute. And that this kind of technology can pretty much replace any architecture and implementation that you've been seeing since decades of your lives, right? And this is a piece of technology which can be implemented anywhere, wherever you are finding a need for implementation in terms of transparency, security, immutability, and all of those characteristics, the basic underlying characteristics that blockchain provides. And maybe you are implementing all of these things to protect frauds and scams from happening, or to make your supply chain safer, to understand that the biscuit you're having today was what is that entire supply chain that it followed, where it was procured from, where it was grown, where it was procured from, where it changed hands, which manufacturing plant, everything, suppliers, everyone. So that is one. These are the kinds of implementations where blockchain can be implemented readily, and and that's something we'll take a look at. We'll try to take a look at some of the most like running implementations of blockchain applications, use cases, so that you can relate and connect a bit. All right, going ahead. All right, so some facts before we start on with anything major. Let us see some facts to really motivate you towards coming into blockchain, and to understand that why you can compare two different fields, one of the legacy fields and blockchain, if you're looking to do a career change, and why it is a good time, right? This is a very important slide, and everywhere I've shown this slide, I've put real emphasis on this. Please take a very deep look in the slide that you're seeing on your screen right now. It is important to note that currently in our country, this is India, right? This is India numbers. 1 in every 400 software developers, software engineers have any kind of skills in blockchain. 1 in 400, and that is out of 2 million IT engineers that we estimate are there in the country. And potentially many of those might have lost their jobs in this COVID scenario, right? I've seen my very close people lose their jobs in this COVID scenario, and people not getting new jobs, and all of those things have happened. But an estimated 2 million software IT engineers are there in this country. Out of every 400, hardly one software engineer has any kind of blockchain skills. That is 0.25%. That is a low number. That is strikingly low number, and this is lower than any other numbers that we can calculate and see in the IT industry. And you can see by the diagram. So what I show by the diagram is that the 5 people in red are the ones, those 1 in 400 people who have any kind of blockchain knowledge already, and they can be readily applied into positions of blockchain engineering, right? Companies where they are needing blockchain development engineers. The people in gray, darker gray, are the people who are at least who are into IT, who are IT engineers, but have some kind of finance background. With that, because blockchain, we have seen most of blockchain's implementation in finance and economics across the world till now. Those finance people are at the borderline, and they can easily topple over, and they can come and learn blockchain easier, more in a much easier way than the rest of the 2 million people can, 2 million IT engineers can, because they have never had any relation to finance, let alone blockchain technology, right? But this is striking. I mean, this is a stark difference between what the need is and what the demand is and what the supply is right now. So this can give you a very deep outlook that what kind of need does the industry face right now. And that is why I would say that this is a perfect example how blockchain can even help in such a COVID-19 global pandemic scenario, when people are losing jobs here and there, and they want to upskill themselves, they want to change their areas, because maybe the areas they are in right now have gone maybe redundant, right? And maybe that is why they were roosted, they were laid off, right? So this is something, this is very concerning numbers for the country as a whole. But I would say that this, on the other hand, are very lucrative numbers for anyone who is either a blockchain engineer already or wants to transform into one. So I know the kind of audience that I have here right now, and many of your students would also be in their second, third, or fourth year of college. So whenever I take these lectures for these kinds of students who are in their final year or like third year of their engineering, my primary approach is to make them believe that they still have a lot of time to think about a technology like blockchain, and they can just topple over, they can just come in, and they can just and I remember the CEO of Randstad India. He said that blockchain engineers, I mean IT engineers who have blockchain technology skills, are readily deployable, and their salaries can be up to 2x higher than what their counterparts just having IT background have. Twice in the scenario of COVID, maybe that can come down to 1.5, or at least a job. I mean, if it's not even a raise in the salary, it would at least be a job. I mean, this is very lucrative, right? And even myself, I faced it when I got out of college. What blockchain companies were paying, and what as compared to what maybe mass recruitment companies and all were paying, it was at least thrice in my case. And I've seen this happen in the industry. So this is something that definitely your students would be interested in knowing, right? So just a quick RBI in India, what the scenario is. Sometime back, RBI back in 2018, I guess 17, 18, RBI banned financial institutions from dealing in cryptocurrencies. I mean, dealing in products that dealt in cryptocurrencies. People thought that Indian government has banned blockchain. Now, I think on May 4 earlier this year, people have Supreme Court take out an order which said that now that thing has been taken off, and banks can again indulge in products which are dealing in cryptocurrencies. And even apart from all of these cryptocurrency problems that the country and the people have faced, the Indian government has always been a pro for blockchain development. My own company, my own startup has a blockchain solution, and we are the first live implementation on the Maharashtra blockchain sandbox. And to tell you that Maharashtra blockchain sandbox is the first such sandbox in the country, so we become automatically the first live implementation in the country. And so if the government, Indian government, wouldn't have been for the blockchain, the sector of blockchain, these initiatives wouldn't have taken place, right? All right, so going ahead now, diving into, after we have taken a look at a lot of facts, diving into some figures to take a look at before we move on to discussing real life implementations. We won't have a lot of time, so we'll quickly go through all of these slides. And before we delve onto the implementations, the use cases, the applications, let's take a look at and compare the technologies that we know in terms of transactions and the blockchain-based technologies and cryptocurrency technologies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Till now, since we have completed a section, does anyone have any question? And Sudhi sir, how does it work? I mean, do we take questions in between, or we take questions at the end? How does it work? If you can tell me.
It is up to you.
So if there are, sir, if any significant questions right now from the first part of the presentation, I would love to answer, or we can take it later.
Or may I request who is asking the question, please on your camera so that we know who is asking the question.
Yes, please do that. I mean, it's lovely to talk to someone face to face, especially when we've not met people once. Okay, someone just. There is some disturbance. I'm sorry for that. I'll try to minimize it. I'm sorry, I'm at home. Things happen. I've asked everyone in my home to just sit quiet for an hour. I hope it is there. It will be taken.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Hello. May
Yes,
I ask
sir.
any question?
Yes, sir. Please.
Sir, you have discussed about the blockchain, but may I know what are the resources through which we can learn the blockchain?
Absolutely. So very good question. So I would park your question here for the time being, because I have 3 or 4 slides exactly how you can learn blockchain at the end after we discuss the application. So please bear a bit with it, because then you'll be able to see the slides as well. It's better to discuss them. I have 4 slides exactly on this topic, sir. I hope that is fine.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, just some time. Any other question that we can take up right now, which has something to do with the first part of the segment that we have done? Else, I'll just continue. I mean, we should. All right.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why is this blockchain technology is essential? All the security elements, what are there, or data, they are not sufficient, you feel?
Perfect.
So I'm
Very
not
good.
getting a clear picture of what this blockchain chain technology is.
Perfect. So, very good question. I'll answer it. Yeah. So the answer to this is that, so that is where the concept of blockchain lies, and that is where we can find an answer. When I discuss that, the few questions we'll try to answer is, what is blockchain technology? So even before discussing that, why is blockchain the best security based framework or technology as compared to any other security technology that is available? Let us discuss what blockchain is. So what blockchain gave to the world is simply a ledger. However, that ledger is decentralized. It is not like maybe, for example, let's take the example of a bank, any Indian bank, right? They have their own ledger. And what that bank would do, say Axis Bank, right? Any bank. So what that bank would do is that it will maintain a ledger of its own in its own servers. Maybe it might have a couple of copies, but it would do that centrally in a centralized manner in its own servers. When I transfer 100 rupees to you, what Axis Bank will write is that Abhishek transferred 100 rupees to maybe Professor Sudhir sir. Now, Axis Bank will write it in his own ledger, and it'll that would mean that 100 will be deducted from my account and 100 will be sir's account. Yeah. So would be added to sir's account. So now what happens exactly is that first of all, what happens if one fine morning goes rogue and just denies that you paid 100 rupees, but it just denies paying the same to professor? What happens then? Because I have no way of claiming, because I have no proof to show that I did this transaction, because it is a centralized system, and any morning Axis Bank can go rogue. You understand that it won't go rogue, because then there's a lot of security mechanism like RBI and all of that on top of it. But then that is one example that we are taking. So centralized systems, when these systems are in the hands of one single entity, it might mean that any day, fine morning, it can go rogue and you won't have access to your own transactions. Another very big use case is that when you are so for example, Axis Bank faces a massive outage or faces a massive cyber attack, and people have faced this in the past, so it is not a new thing, it's not a far-fetched thing, right? So when that happens, if you're keeping a centralized ledger and that centralized system is hacked, is attacked in a manner which destroys your entire data, Axis Bank will eventually forget that you gave 100 rupees to professor, right? And this is a breach. I mean, this is a place where neither Axis Bank nor you nor the person you paid your the money to can do anything, because that is what a centralized system is. It is just one copy. I mean, there could be maybe RAID systems and all of those replicas being created, but that is again one centralized entity, and that entity goes out of business, goes down, it gets an attack, your data is gone, your transactions are gone, your money is gone, your everything is gone. And this is just a bank example. It could be a food supply chain, it could be your data on the cloud, something like that. It could be any implementation which even might have not come into blockchain yet. So when that happens, so why blockchain? When blockchain provides a decentralized ledger for the same, to do the same thing, anything that happens to one node would have no effect on any of the other nodes, which are, by the way, placed maybe across the globe, and that is humongous geographical distance. There is hardly a chance that all the nodes will get compromised at the same time. And that is why blockchain, now there could be two kinds of compromises. One, external, where external attacks come and you are compromised. Another one is that the blockchain nodes can collude themselves. They can go wrong. They can collude themselves, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 500 nodes can collude, and they can maybe change your records, right? So that is why blockchain networks work on one assumption: at least 51% or more nodes are good. They are not maligned, they are benign nodes, right? They are working for the network, they are working in a very benign manner, and they will not do any wrong. They are good people, they are good nodes. That is one consideration that's always there, and that is why there is a very famous attack called 51% attack in blockchain, where more than 51% have more nodes. If they go wrong, if they collude, and then only a network can be called to be broken. But on the other hand, if that even happens, the rest of the network knows that something like this happened, and what they will do is they'll leave the network, they'll fork out the blockchain network, they create a new network. So there is no use ultimately to break a blockchain network. I hope all of these concepts are going there where I believe they are. But so there is no, essentially, first of all, no way to hack a blockchain network. And if you do eventually, which is theoretical in nature, even if you do, it is of no use, because you'll be implementing massive scale of power and electricity and technology and money, finance into it, to just lose the network overall, because the people would know that you've done something bad and they will just leave the network. So again, it is a zero-sum game. You will not have a blockchain that you have hacked and now you can use it for your own benefits, right? So that is why these kinds of technologies are mostly used in finance, because that is where it has seen its the biggest implementation. But on the other hand, areas like supply chain, areas like a lot of other areas, healthcare, public system, public works, IoT, digital identity, all of these areas are using blockchain in a beautiful manner. There are so many projects around the world which are using blockchain in a very efficient manner to solve problems which are not possible before. And every block in a blockchain network is so cryptographically hardened that breaking it is almost next to impossible. And I hope all of you would know it better than me, that what cryptographic systems mean when we are talking about very, very hardcore security, like 256-bit encryption or even higher than that. And when those blocks are done, those blocks are encrypted twice using those same algorithms, and then people show that they've done the work in a proof of work kind of consensus, and all of those things come together to create a blockchain network which is really secure. It provides technologies, concepts like transparency, security, immutability, and is very, very secure. I hope I at least somewhat answered your question, sir. If there are no questions, then I'll move ahead. I'll move ahead with the slides.
Yes.
If that, yeah.
Sir, I have one question, please.
Yes, yes.
So I'm Dr. Zaki Khan. Sir, just I need to ask one question. How does
Yes, sir.
blockchain support Bitcoin?
How does?
Blockchain support Bitcoin?
Yeah. So blockchain is right. So we'll take this last question, and then we'll take all other questions at the end, because otherwise I won't be able to complete the slides. And so what blockchain does in terms of in Bitcoin's case is simply that the entire Bitcoin is Bitcoin is a network, right? And that network has over 10,000 full nodes running across the world. I mean, more than which in layman terms would be 10,000 or 20,000. No one knows the exact number, and it keeps on changing. The number of nodes in the blockchain network. 10 or 20,000 people across the world have given their computing resources, and they are running full nodes, right, to maintain the system. So whatever transaction is happening in a blockchain network, that is, once a block is created out of all those transactions that go in a block, and then that goes into the blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain, that block is written down, is noted by all those 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 ledgers in the nodes in their own ledgers, in their own respective ledgers, and they update their copy of the Bitcoin blockchain. So that is why it takes time, and that is how blockchain technology is supporting it, because blockchain technology gives the decentralized ledger, and what Bitcoin does is it creates the blocks, and it records those blocks in that Bitcoin blockchain, which is a part of the ledger that is persistent across all those nodes. I mean, across their hardware on all those nodes, right? So and whenever something happens, maybe you try to hack the network, you'll do it with one node, right, with your own node, but every other node around the world will just check that, okay, you have a different copy of the ledger and we all have a different copy of the ledger, which means that there is something you did, and we should throw you out, or we should shut you down, or we should call you out, or something like that. And the network would know that you tried to do something. And it is also not possible because the power which the Bitcoin network consumes. So there was time when you could mine Bitcoins with your own laptop, with your own computer. Nowadays, you need entire server farms and then ASICs, which are application specific integrated circuits, and all of those, and GPUs, and all of those are machineries that are built, custom built to mine Bitcoin blockchain, because the blocks in the Bitcoin blockchain, because it has the computing power is humongous. So to hack it, you have to go back, implement all that amount of computing power to change something in the blockchain, and that is going to cost you a lot, because that computing power was initially given by a lot of other nodes. I mean, you have to spend a really good amount of money, and so that is why there's no use. So this is how Bitcoin Bitcoin currency is being supported by an underlying blockchain concept. And and you can just see it. You can what you can do is, it's a public blockchain, right? There are three types of blockchains: public, private, and permission. So it's a public blockchain: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all. Just go online I show you these things usually in my lectures, but time is less here. Go online on any public Bitcoin explorer, blockchain.info, or any Bitcoin explorer. Just type it out,
Yes.
and you'll see the Bitcoin blockchain, and you'll see all the blocks that have happened there, right? So and click on one of those blocks, and you can see all those transactions that have gone there, and then you'll see a Coinbase transaction, which gives the miner the money back, which is currently the reward is currently 6.25 Bitcoins. I think May 12th, the third halving happened. Before that, the miners used to get rewarded 12.5 Bitcoins. Now it is 6.25 Bitcoins for mining every block. So all of this is public, really. I mean, I've never seen any more public piece of technology in my life. So yeah.
Okay.
So all right.
Thank you
So
so much,
moving.
sir.
Sure, sir. Thanks a lot. So
Yeah,
moving
it is
ahead, and we'll
meaningful.
take questions at the
Yes,
end.
sir. Thank you so much. Once again, it is meaningful information for me. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot. All right. So going ahead, we were just taking a look at and comparing before. Okay, it's 12:30. So before taking a look at applications, we were comparing what the technology we generally use and the difference between it and the blockchain-based technologies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So Visa, as we know, and we use it every day, and not anymore, I guess, if people are going out less, but Visa is so much used in all the payments that we make every day. The Visa has been able to achieve till now per second 1736 transactions, 1736 transactions at the max, right? And the team also promises that they have tested the networks that can handle up to 56,000 transactions per second, and this is humongous. I mean, they'll take maybe more than a couple of decades to reach that position. I don't know, but that's a humongous number. On the other hand, technologies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, blockchain-based technologies, they are at a strikingly low number. I mean, where it is 1736 transactions per second, Bitcoin is at 4.6 transactions per second on average, and a maximum we have achieved is up to 7 transactions per second. Ethereum has a better block time. It is not proof of it is also proof of work based, but it has started exploring proof of stake as well, other consensus mechanisms, and it has a block time of around 10 seconds to 19 seconds on average. and roughly more like 15 transactions per second. So, but even comparing this 15 transactions to 1736 transactions, that is huge, right? So any day we can easily call out that Visa will be supporting at least 380 or more times than what Bitcoin's throughput is, right? And that should give you a great idea that why something like this is not possible. Visit a coffee shop right now. You visit a coffee shop and you try to pay. You visit Starbucks and you try to pay for your coffee with Bitcoin. Now, currently, based on the transactions throughput there in the Bitcoin blockchain and the delay it takes and the uncertainty, the main part is the uncertainty. Even if you had known that it is always going to be 10 minutes, you would have found some other way, right? You would have found some way that you put the order, you know that after 10 minutes my coffee will be confirmed, right? But in Bitcoin's case right now, it can take 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 22 minutes, 25 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, anything. On an average, the Bitcoin blockchain takes over 10 minutes to confirm a block, confirm a transaction. And with this uncertainty, it is unlikely that you'll go and you'll wait for your coffee, and the other person on the other side of the table, the seller, the coffee shop person, is also going to be very uncertain that when to give you the coffee, because he won't, like in Visa, you pay and it's instantaneous. In this case, you will not have a confirmation that whether the transaction went through or not. And then a lot of things can happen, like the block can make, like uncle blocks can happen, and all of those things happen. Those are the concepts which happen in blockchain technology as of now, because of which your transaction might not get confirmed in that very same block. So, and that is why in Bitcoin also people usually want to believe till 6 confirmations to confirm a transaction. If I give you 1 Bitcoin, you should be waiting for 6 confirmations at least, even after you've seen that the transaction has happened, for 6 confirmations at least before you consider it processed, because which essentially means that after our transaction, there are 6 more blocks that happen in the Bitcoin blockchain, right? So and so people use that kind of a number. So this does not mean that this uncertainty or this delay is a limitation of the blockchain technology. This is essentially because of all the security systems in place. The way the network works, the way mining works, the way you show the proof that you've done a work to reach a consensus and then write a transaction into the ledger, this takes time, and this is how the technology has been built. And a lot of research has been happening, and Bitcoin was the first generation technology, Ethereum a second generation technology, then there have been third generation technologies, and people are working on alternative implementation, side chains. Bitcoin has tried out something called Lightning Network, where you handle all those transactions separately in a side chain in a different network, and then only the final outputs of the transaction, relevant outputs of the transaction, are again synced with the main Bitcoin blockchain, and that essentially brings easier transactions and faster transactions into a blockchain. But anyways, this is one problem that we face. And going ahead deeper into that, let us analyze 3 types of thoughts that come in when we are planning to implement blockchain, and then we are calculating the transactions per second and how to use blockchain in your kind of use case, right? So there is a stark difference between what someone needs to do, what a particular piece of technology needs to do while confirming a transaction. What Visa does, it clearly does a 1:1 transaction. I'm paying you some money at a store. Visa knows that who's the buyer, who's the seller, and what the amount is, and it needs to write it possibly in one ledger, which is the bank's. If we are doing a transaction by Axis banks, or maybe 2 ledgers, because if we both have different banks, then it will be 2 ledgers across 2 different banks, and that will be handled by the bank, right? So that's all it has to do. However, for a same kind of transaction, I send you 1 Bitcoin. The Bitcoin blockchain has to tell the same knowledge, the same information to 10,000 or 15,000 different people, which are geographically located at different points in the entire world. And that means geographical distance, that means networks, a lot of network components, that means servers, DNS, oceans, mountains, and all of that, and the delay that creeps in with every such hop, with every such occurrence, which you guys know. So and it has to do it every time with every ledger, and that is why the time, that is why not 1 second, right? On the other hand, a second generation blockchain like Ethereum that brought concepts like the smart contracts, which by now you must have definitely heard. And smart contracts are revolutionary. To quote an example, I was at a company previously where we were talking to a leading airline company in the country, in our country. Everyone knows that airline, and they wanted to bring their travel insurance on the blockchain. What they wanted to do is that they wanted to implement smart contracts so that they can tell the public that like be confident while buying travel insurance from me. That 249 rupee travel insurance that you tick mark when you're trying to book maybe a ticket on Make My Trips, for example, that protects you for the duration of your trip. So the company wanted that people be like confident while buying the travel insurance, because they would know that when any of these triggering conditions would happen, like for example 5-minute delay in the timing, in the flight timing, or a cancellation of flights, or luggage stolen, or any of this is reported from an external factor, from an external data point, that is the moment the smart contract will run, because it has been on the blockchain network, deployed on the blockchain network, and that particular airline company would not have any control with the running of that blockchain network. And that would mean that people can be confident that they will not have to call the company up and say that my flight is delayed, I want my money back, you promised me 10,000 rupees for every minute delayed, or so on and so forth, because that has been written on the smart contract, which again will be public. If they use a public blockchain, people can go and check, and the moment 1 minute delay happens, the smart contract gets input from an oracle. These are called oracle because that's what we use in blockchain. Let's not go deeper into that. But whenever it will receive a price delay notification from an external network, the smart contract will run, giving you your 10,000 rupees without the flight carrier's involvement. So Ethereum brought into, going back to the slide, Ethereum brought as a second generation blockchain, apart from being a mode of cryptocurrency, right? It brought in the world of smart contracts, the concept of smart contracts. So now Ethereum, where the currency, native currency is Ether, Ethereum does not only have to support transactions like Bitcoin on its own network, it also has to transfer. It also has to support a massive exchange of information and data in the format of smart contracts. And excuse me, this is worrisome, because that's a whole lot of work that Visa does not have to do. Visa has nothing to do with all of these kinds of concepts, right? All right. So, okay, we won't take any questions here. Just to summarize, still here, we have taken a look at what blockchain means essentially, what we can do justice to in 10 minutes. I mean, a few days back, I took a faculty development program that ran 3 days, more than 7.5 hours, and still we were, and that was practical, that was hands-on, but we were not able to cover and let alone entirety of blockchain, but maybe even the core concepts significantly. So let us assume that that's all we can do in 1 hour. So we've taken a look at what blockchain is, what decentralized technology means, why people were in the need of a decentralized technology. That is one question we wanted to answer today, which is where I gave you the examples of Axis Bank going rogue or facing an outage or an attack, and that is why when you implement that kind of an example across other sectors and other things that you use in your everyday life, you'll understand that why people needed blockchain or any kind of decentralized technology. And at the end, we took a look at why we cannot pay with Bitcoin at the moment, why we cannot pay with ethers at the moment at coffee shops. Okay, one very important example to give here is that even though I gave you an example that if you go to a Starbucks shop, you cannot pay for your coffee with Bitcoin. However, strange fact is that a very interesting fact is that China, just maybe a couple months back, tried a pilot of its central bank digital currency, which we call CBDC. It's an alternative to your own central currency, like an alternative to the Chinese yuan. And they implemented that cryptocurrency, and they did it across 4 cities, I guess, of Chinese cities. And they also took 3 or 4 corporate partners, which I believe included Starbucks, included McDonald's, and maybe a couple more, who were ready to be a part of this pilot, which meant that all of these during that pilot, and as part of that pilot, apart from accepting Chinese yuan, these corporates would have been accepted that central bank digital currency as well, and then there would have been underlying infrastructure. So things are happening. Even though I gave you an example of the coffee shop example just 5 minutes back, but you see similar examples are happening. People and governments are trying out new ways to do that. It is not very long before which you'll see that yes, you can just like you open up your Paytm, like before maybe 2007, 8, 6, you were not very frequent with Paytm, and you did not pay with Paytm a lot. But after demonetization, we know that every other shop has started accepting Paytm, and instead of card, you can now use your Paytm and you can pay, right? Maybe very soon you'll open up your blockchain wallet on your phone, and that would be a bit different because of that that criteria there, that it runs in a very in a different environment, and you'll pay via any kind of currency, not necessarily Bitcoin or Ether, right? So that is where we've looked at. Now going forward, we'll quickly look at, let's see what the time is. So I think it's 12:45. So we'll quickly take a look at 3 use cases, and we'll try to understand going forward before finishing of this lecture that where people have implemented blockchain technology till now, massive use cases, big use cases, social impact use cases, and where going forward you can think about implementing blockchain. One very important use case that I came across is implementation of blockchain technology in supply chain management. Supply chain management has been a very concerning sector because people are worried. Not only so a lot of stakeholders are worried. Companies are worried what material and what procurement strategies and whatever is provided by their suppliers. Consumers are also worried that where is the material that they are consuming, because it is important to their health. So where is it being grown, where is it being procured, where is it being made, what standards are followed, where did it change hands, and all of that, the entire scenario. People are really have become interested in it. So IBM, which is a big name, IBM came up with this blockchain implementation called the Food Trust, IBM Food Trust blockchain, and it takes care of the supply chain management on blockchain, and it is a very good implementation. We will not cover that, but see, you can see blockchain and IoT go hand in hand to protect consumers' trust in the food they eat, and IBM is the leader in that and has award-winning collaborations which have made food supply smarter and safer, propelling global trade with less friction, protecting against counterfeiting, and much more such implementations where blockchain can be helpful. Right, it can delay your process, but if it is solving a big problem for you, maybe you can weigh in all those problems and then implement blockchain technology, right? So IBM has been doing that. We'll quickly go ahead. Let's take a look at another use case, very big use case. Accenture took out a report on it, that insurance using blockchain. And I've been in insurance field for some time. I was into Policy Bazaar. I was leading their service product, and Policy Bazaar does not use blockchain anywhere. But after knowing the insurance sector from scratch, and then looking at implementations where people are using blockchain, I could understand that where we can help. I mean, where can blockchain help? So insurers can actually unlock trapped potential by combining blockchain with other technologies, legacy technologies that companies and insurers and claim providers are already using, right? And analysts have identified that over 99 million and $277 million in annual savings just in personal auto insurance. That's it, auto insurance I'm talking about. So when you multiply it with other sectors, health insurance, group insurance, maybe COVID insurance, or all of the kinds of insurance that we have, travel insurance, and every insurance that we have, this will be maybe $1 billion of worth more of savings, and that is significant. If you are in anywhere, in any company, any government, any organization can save millions and millions of dollars using blockchain technology. That makes sense, right? And this we were talking about just carriers in the US alone, right? And of course, what you can use is, so I've mentioned here oracles, which you can see that IoT sensors, trust, and oracles combined with blockchain technology are giving this outlook to insurance, right? Because you want to be correct about claims and all. So all of these technologies can do a lot of good, and oracles are the joining between the real world and the blockchain, because blockchain cannot talk to the real world directly. They're just like APIs doing the job of APIs, but in a very contained environment, so that the blockchain is not affected. But it is a very deep piece of technology. We will not go into it at all. All right, I love talking about this technology, about this use case, and this is, I guess, the last use case we are taking a look at, and then we'll quickly cover rest of it. And so I love talking about this technology is because so this is being done currently using blockchain. We are saving millions in frauds for the banks, scams like, and this is by revolutionizing the warehouse. WHR is warehouse receipt financing sector, and we are doing that. The world has seen billions and billions in frauds, 5,600 crores in NSCL scam in India, 3 billion in Qingdao scandal, where popular names like Standard Chartered, Citibank were involved. So banks know what the kind of problem they have been facing in warehouse receipt finance. And on the other hand, using that same technology, what we are doing is we are enabling farmers to not visit banks and still get loans in a very secured manner. And they can, by this, they can save up to 25 to 40% of their income, because they can protect their hours and put that into farming. So this is what we are doing, and I love putting these slides, not as a sales pitch, because we are really the first agri blockchain platform in the country, and decentralizing the warehouse receipt finance, tokenizing warehouse receipt finance, and we are, as of now, helping farmers across 1,250 warehouses in Maharashtra, and they are happy with the solution, and the banks are happy with the solution, because they know that now they can protect frauds, and those frauds are millions in dollars. And maybe that is why, like within 7 months, we have been able to implement such a nascent piece of technology like blockchain, which we just saw in the initial slides, that it is so difficult for people to even understand blockchain, let alone implement it, and find a good use case where even the delays and all of these things don't be a hindrance, rather the technology can be used in a profound manner. And we've been doing that, and we are an IIM Ahmedabad startup. We have already received $1 million worth of funding approval in principle, and we are into a lot of warehouses, and we are the first implementation in the country, blockchain live implementation in a blockchain sandbox in the country. All right, going forward with it, quickly closing this part. So there are very deep two myths in blockchain, which I would like to share before closing the lecture. First myth is blockchain is a truth machine. People have started believing that. So I guess Sudhir sir has come on video. I think there is a warning for me. I'm just closing, sir. Really lovely slides coming up. I'll quickly go through it. 5 minutes max. So a myth is blockchain is a truth machine. It is not. It is whatever you put comes out that way. It cannot decide for its own. It's garbage in, garbage out, and you know better than about this than me, right? And also, blockchain is free. Is a myth. Blockchain is not free. There is so much of overheads involved in setting up a blockchain network. So just my piece of advice would be, do not, because this is a new piece of technology and it has a lot of hype, just don't try to figure out a new concept from scratch and try to implement blockchain across anything that you come across with. Please analyze whether your implementation needs blockchain technology or not, or whether it can be implemented using any legacy system like a NoSQL database, right? So that is very important. Someone asked me that how can we learn blockchain technology? There would be 4 steps I would suggest, and believe me, in an area where I just showed you numbers, 0.25% of the Indian IT population has any kind of skills in blockchain. I mean, that's no competition, right? I mean, I didn't feel a competition, right, when I was entering blockchain. So that is hardly any competition. So what you can do is, you can start by first of all getting the basics of computer science ready. So this is for you. It is already there. You've been faculties in computer science and engineering, most of you, and but for your students, this can be a very good suggestion to start grasping more of the basic concepts of computer science, because after all, it is a computer science based technology, right? Going forward, the second step would be to learn the basics of blockchain. Once you are really deep with CS basics of blockchain are different. You can understand this is a different piece of technology, and I've seen that even faculties and PhDs have had a like good amount of time and conflict in understanding why is this technology necessary, how is this working, why is it changing our lives, and what all is happening. So this is very important. It is different from the technologies you've been used to studying for decades now, right? I faced difficulty, but it was 8 or 10 days, and after that, when this sinks in, you can understand how to go about blockchain. Then talking about the actual matter, there are a lot of popular frameworks like Truffle, Web3, Remix, Ganache, MetaMask. MetaMask is a wallet that runs from your Chrome browser. It's a very good implementation to see how blockchain works. Then Web3 is a JS library where you can talk to blockchains like Ethereum. And then Remix is an integrated development environment which runs in your browser. Again, beautiful. And the smart contract language that you use is Solidity. It is not very difficult, but it is different. It's not difficult, but it is different. Most of the concepts in blockchain are not difficult if you understand it well, but they are significantly different, which is what creates the hindrance between knowing normal concepts, legacy concepts, and blockchain concepts. And at the end, learn to write smart contracts, build decentralized applications like people have been building Android applications. Just build decentralized applications which sit on top of blockchain networks, communicate with blockchain networks. So like wallets and implementations like MetaMask. When you use them in your browser, you use them in your browser to talk to a blockchain network, because your browser is not self-sufficient and capable to talk to a blockchain network. So use a medium like MetaMask in between. So that is what decentralized apps do as well. Let you talk to the blockchain, and anything, even Zomato or Uber or anything can be built into a decentralized application with the right architecture and the understanding. And right smart contracts, they are easy to do, and they are the next big thing. No reason why World Bank is calling blockchain as a pillar of the fourth industrial revolution. Understand the depth of it. It is humongous claim, and something is coming. And to update you, the father of the internet, Vincer, now has been interested in blockchain as well, and he has been speaking, and he's been into blockchain as well. So these people are taking a look at blockchain, right? It means something. So these are not small organizations. World Economic Forum, World Bank, they have understood that what blockchain can do in underdeveloped and third world countries into a lot of implementations, right? And so you can learn. A lot of resources are available. I've advised a course which gives you a lot of information on blockchain, gives you a certification, certified blockchain professional, and then there's a lot of resources now. They have started to become available, which were not there when I was starting out, but now I've seen that tutorials and YouTube videos and a lot of courses are there. Very cheap courses are there on blockchain as well. And you might want to, shameless plug, you might want to read my book as well. It was published by BPB, the same publications behind Yashwant Kanitkar's Let Us C, C++, and it is, I believe, and it has been co-authored with the government of India's principal blockchain consultant Srinivas Mahankali, and ex PwC associate director Gokul Alex. So they should create value, and it is available across all countries, all stores. That's it. Thank you. This was my last slide, and yeah, thanks a lot. Any questions I can take, and if I've crossed my time, I'm very sorry. It's 12:53 p.m. I think I can take questions. I'm sorry.
Can
I ask you a question?
Thank you very much for very nice presentation and detailed explanation of blockchain technology. Now, dear participants, you can ask the question, but first you on your camera so that we know who is asking the question, and you can ask the question one by one.
Yeah, I have a question. Hello. Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Proceed,
Please.
sir.
Yeah. So, given the architecture you explained for the blockchains,
Sir, come again, please.
given the architecture you explained for the blockchains, so what about the energy consumption of the blockchain architecture?
All right. So what I believe is that why you are specifically talking about energy consumption is because maybe this question is coming from the implementation that Bitcoin, networks like Bitcoin, or any proof of work based blockchain networks have. I believe so, because those are the kinds of networks that take a lot of energy consumption to just mining your transactions. Even though that is distributed, that is what a decentralized ledger is. If there are 100 miners, those 100 miners will be bearing their own energy costs. But just simple plain, so that is when you're implementing a blockchain network, which has proof of work mechanism to verify transactions, and people have to commit that work, right? But when you're just talking about a blockchain implementation, not a cryptocurrency implementation, but a blockchain implementation that is not based on proof of work or it's based on any other consensus mechanism, not necessarily that you need a lot of power consumptions. For example, what we use Quorum. What is it? It is a permission ledger. It's not a public ledger. It's a permission ledger. There are very specific nodes in the system, and it runs on plain AWS instances, EC2 instances, where you can really go ahead and set up your EC2 instance, set up blockchain nodes across maybe 3 EC2 instances, 4 EC2 instances, and you can start the network. It consumes the same amount of power as would any other system if you are setting up an EC2 network. Amazon prohibits you from mining, using their instances to mine. Apart from that, it's I think perfect without any concern of energy consumption. I hope I have answered your question.
Okay, thank you.
Next question from the
Sir, can I put a
participants.
question? Yeah, I want to put a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Actually, in BSC or NSE in stock market, what is the type of security there? Is it not blockchain is not managed there? Is not there?
Sir, kindly on your camera. Who is
Yeah,
speaking?
Myself is Devi Prasad there, but the camera is not getting on. Is it on? Hello?
Yes, sir. Who is speaking? Who is asking the
Myself
question?
is there speaking.
I'll answer that.
Devi Prasad, they speak. What I want to know is it our stock market, BSE, NSE, that blockchain technology is implemented or not?
So NSE and BSE are not implementing blockchain technology at right? But however, if you compare, I think they have not seen it to do that yet, and blockchain hasn't taken that shape. However, if you really want to look at implementations, such implementations where maybe, for example, so NSE and BSE are good examples of exchanges, right? So you can see other exchanges which are running on the blockchain network. Like, for example, go to Binance. Binance is the country's is the world's biggest cryptocurrency exchange. And what they do is they basically deal in
Everyone को लगाते हैं ना.
so you can look at them. You can take a look at all Indian exchanges. Some of them got closed down when that RBI crackdown came, and all of those exchanges. And then there are decentralized exchanges as well. You can take a look at them, just search for them online, and you see exchanges on
Oh.
and they look like they work the same.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
One last question from the participant side.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Hello.
One
Yeah.
last question from the participant side.
So is it
Okay,
sir?
before
Is it
that, I am just personally, I'm just providing a very short link. That's just 10 seconds. Take you 10 seconds, and it's anonymous. And it gives me a lot of feedback. In the very next lecture, if you can just click on it and enter your feedback, I would be really overwhelmed with that. It takes you actually 10 seconds. Yeah, please, next question.
I'm Dr. Zakir Khan. Is it possible in blockchain to remove one or more blocks from the network?
So that is the core of the blockchain concept, right? A blockchain technology or a blockchain ledger is immutable. What it means is that you cannot change anything. This is the thumb rule. You cannot change even a piece of transaction, a piece of data, and an entire block. What is a block? A block is just a combination of transactions, right? You cannot remove anything or edit anything in a blockchain network, and that is the most important part of it. If you try to do that, which in theoretically is possible, the others would know that your ledger looks different. So even though you change that ledger, but even if others would notice that your ledger is different from theirs, they will know that you've done something wrong. So what they'll do is either they'll forget your blockchain nodes copy, networks copy, and or they'll just put out their own network and continue with that. And things like this have happened. Ethereum have happened where people have just simply branched out, forked out a new network and gone out with that. So yeah, so no, that's not possible. That's not.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, dear participants, you are
Yes, go ahead.
requested to switch off your mic. All participants are requested to switch off your mic. Kindly on your camera. And I personally welcome our friends, Dr. Vikas Rai Vedi, and many other friends are already there online. Sarin Jafir from the Hamdard University. So all of you are requested to please kindly on your camera for the selfie. Thank you so much, Mr. Abhishek, for your precious time and efforts you took to share your valuable and knowledge with us. I express my sincere thanks to all participants for attending the morning session of second day of Virtual Faculty Development Program. We will start the post-lunch session today sharp 2 p.m. All of you are most welcome in advance. I have already shared the GoToMeeting link with you. Many participants have not on camera. So all of you are requested to please kindly on your camera for taking the attendance. So many participants are asking about the attendance. This is the attendance time.
डॉक्टर साहब मुझे भी आपको नमस्कार कर लेने दीजिए.
Yes, you are most welcome, sir.
बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हो आप. It's very nice.
Who is speaking?
अरे,
पता ही नहीं चल रहा है.
विकास बोल रहा हूँ.
अरे डॉक्टर विकास कैसे हो?
बस बहुत
डॉक्टर
बढ़िया.
विकास
मुझे
is
बड़ा
a very good friend of mine.
It's very nice and wonderful workshop you are doing it. I liked it very much. Yesterday it was wonderful. Today also from Mr. Abhishek. At the end of the session, I think after 5 days, we will be having a feedback session about the experts and speakers. There we will get a chance to speak about the feedback of the workshop.
Okay, any comments from any other participants in the same similar? Vikas Rai Vedi commented on the organizing, how we are organizing the virtual faculty development. You are most welcome for any quick comments or feedback so that we can improve the organizing virtual faculty development program. Still many participants. Yes,
Hello,
yes.
sir. I'm Shital Mathi from Mumbai. Sir, I would like to have more session on the blockchain. If you can go elaborate for a news, like you can have more session on that, which can actually increase our knowledge on that area. Actually, it's very limited in knowledge do I have in that area, so I would like to explore more there.
Okay, we will try our best to introduce one more session on the blockchain. Our colleague Sandhya Mehta is most welcome. Our colleague Sandhya Mehta is most welcome for quick comments. Ma'am, please on your mic. Sarin Jafar from Hamdard University, Delhi.
I have already attended a webinar on blockchain technology by Bharati Vidyapith yesterday. So I was seeing that this is highlighting some new features and new aspects of the same thing. So it's not that a webinar, it becomes redundant, but every speaker has his own different things to offer. So it is a beautiful session. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Other participants are also requested for any feedback, suggestion.
No, it is being beautifully conducted.
Dr. Sarin Jafar, Hamdard University, Delhi. Dr. Jyoti Saxena.
It is organized very well, sir. The sessions are organized very well.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti Saxena.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I am Dr. Ramesh Kumar. Sir, I am Dr. Ramesh Kumar. I would like to say the presentations, the topic, everything is most useful, sir. Really, I appreciate the organizers and the presenters. The blockchain technology and the yesterday's morning and afternoon session, all are most useful to the researchers and the faculty members. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for this type of the wonderful organization. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Parveen Jain. Okay, in the last, thank you very much for the all participants, and we will start the post-lunch session at 2 p.m. sharp. All of you are most welcome in advance. I have shared the link already. I sent the link to at your email, and your advice, your feedback are most important for us for improving the virtual faculty development program. Any suggestion you can also write, send at my email ID or at my WhatsApp. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.